Let's dive right into this. This is a personal story about trust, about influence, and how just one chance encounter can, well, it can change everything. This whole thing kicks off from a place of real vulnerability. And from there, it builds into this relationship that, as you'll see, goes somewhere you would never ever expect. So let's set the scene. The year is 2017, and for the person telling this story, it was a really, really tough year. The kind of year that just sets the stage perfectly for something big to happen. And this timeline, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? You're looking at someone who is just getting hit from all sides. Health problems, tons of stress, financial issues. When you're in that state, you're so open to anyone, literally anyone, who sees to have an answer. And we're not talking about minor issues here. Just try to put yourself in her shoes for a second. You get this scary diagnosis from your doctor. You've got crushing debt. And on top of all that, you feel totally alone. That combination, it makes you desperate for help, for any kind of lifeline. And then this happens. It's not some big dramatic event. It's just a guy offering to help carry her groceries. He says his name is Sensei A. Now, sensei is a Korean word for teacher or master, so right off the bat, he's presenting himself as someone with knowledge, with authority. And that one tiny moment, that was the beginning of this incredibly complicated relationship.
Okay, so how do you get from a stranger helping with groceries to something much more? Well, it all comes down to communication. Slow, steady, consistent communication that started to build a foundation of trust. And when you look at how he did it, you realize, wow, this wasn't random at all. It was a system. Step 1, contact her all the time to create familiarity. Step 2, give her advice so she starts seeing him as a guide. And Step 3, tell her about all these other successful people he's helped. That builds credibility. It's a really, really effective way to build trust.
Right. And then you see quotes like this. He's saying, oh yeah, I've designed signatures for really important high-ranking people. This isn't just a friendly chat anymore, is it? He's actively building this image of himself as an expert, someone connected to powerful, successful people.
And you really can't forget how isolated she was at this point. She admits she was skeptical at first, but when you're that lonely and someone is messaging you every single day with advice, it stops feeling like just friendly support. It feels like a lifeline.
Okay. And this is where things take a really big turn. The relationship shifts from just talking to taking action. She starts actually changing her life based on his suggestions.
And you can totally see why his advice was so appealing, right? Look at this. On one side, you have her reality. Confused, stressed, stuck. On the other side, you have his advice. Adjust your mindset, change your environment, alter your behavior. He's taking these huge, messy problems and offering simple, actionable solutions. When you're feeling lost, that kind of clarity it's incredibly powerful.
And then he says this. To improve your life, you sometimes need to reduce contact with the people around you. That right there is a huge red flag. Because what's he really doing? He's cutting her off from her support system, from anyone else's opinion. It's a classic tactic to make someone rely on you and only you.
But from her perspective, she was just hoping for a better life. So she started doing what he said. For her, it probably felt like she was finally taking control, doing something to fix her situation. It was all about that hope that things could get better.
And of course, as she starts following his advice, the relationship just gets deeper and deeper. It's like a feedback loop, you know? The more she listens to him, the more she depends on him for the next step.
So it becomes a daily thing. Every single day. This isn't just a casual how are you anymore. He's become her go-to person for everything, from the big stuff to the little stuff.
And she says it herself. She started to really rely on his advice. His opinion just became more and more important. It wasn't something that happened overnight. It was this slow, creeping thing where his voice started to get louder than her own in her head.
And look at all the areas he had influence over. We're talking life and stress, her health, her actual career and design work, her future, even her personal relationships. His advice touched literally every single part of her life. So now we get to the part where she's looking back on all this. And with hindsight, everything looks different. She starts to see this whole period in a new and pretty chilling light.
And this quote says it all, really. At the time, I had no idea. It's like that old story of the boiling frog, right? The change was so slow, so gradual day by day, that she had no idea the water was getting hotter and hotter. She just couldn't see it while she was in it.
So that's really the key takeaway here. What started as a completely random encounter, just a stranger being helpful, slowly, step by step, turned into this incredibly deep relationship of influence and dependency. It's a powerful reminder of how small things can add up.
And that brings us to the final question, the one this whole story leaves you thinking about. How do we know? How do we spot the moment when friendly advice starts to turn into something else, when it crosses a line and becomes influence or even control?